Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 11 of the Audible Farm podcast. I am your host. My name is Peter Stockdale. This week, I sat down with Clint Riedel of the Blue Ribbon Ramblers. He plays guitar, he songwrites, he also has a bunch of percussive stuff around him that he likes to play on. I mean, we're talking cajon, he's got some little maraca type things and whatever. He's got all sorts of goodies. He's a real interesting guy. I'd never met him before. The bassist of the Blue Ribbon Ramblers got a hold of me on Facebook, and we had talked about doing a podcast with somebody, and we decided to do one with Clint because we figured it would, I guess, benefit everybody the most. Clint does a lot of the writing for the band, so I guess it would work out best for him and kind of promote the band the best. And I had never met Clint before, and I sat down with him, and we had a nice conversation about, all sorts of good stuff. You're going to have to sit down and listen to it yourself. But, we go through playing at local and live bars. We talk about how he got his start. We talk about some of his influences, some of the stuff he plays, the people he found while he was playing, all sorts of good stuff. He's a real interesting guy. It was a great conversation for actually never having met him before ever and only contacting him a couple times through text message before the conversation. And thanks to Clint, he invited me into his home to do the podcast. So thank you for that very much. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This once again is episode number 11. Clint Riedel of the Blue Ribbon Ramblers.
It's the Audible Farm podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
How you doing today, man?
Doing well. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to be here. I'm sitting down with Clint Riedel. I got it right.
Hey.
Clint Riedel. Blue Ribbon Ramblers. You are the main songwriter, I assume, of the band?
Yeah, I'm kind of one of the founding members. Me and my brother from a different mother, Caleb Ferry, my drummer. He's the other half at first, and then I found a couple more talented cats, and here we are.
Who else you got in the band? Like, how did it all start out originally?
Well, I was playing a gig. I was hanging out with this dude. He kind of played like new country or whatever. His name was Bo Bonner. Nice kid. Hello, Bo.
Yeah.
And I got a gig at Patty's in Fort Dodge there, and Gina, the owner, was like, hey, there's a drummer in here, because at the time I was just using my feet on a kick drum and a tambourine, playing the guitar and harmonica. And she's like, we got a drummer in here. So Caleb walks up and he's like, hey, man, I'm Caleb Ferry. I'm like, right on. So you want to drum a little? He's like, sure. So he sat down and drummed, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome.
That's cool, man.
And then, like, I didn't see him for months. And then I went into the coffee shop there, because he manages the coffee shop, Central Perk.
Oh, cool.
In Fort Dodge.
Yep.
And I was like, you're that dude. He's like, you're that guy. And I was like, man, we should get together. Like, I've got this gig coming up at Amigos, I think it was. And he's like, all right, cool, I'll be there. And ever since then, we just started going.
So that gig at Amigos, you had originally just booked it to be
just a solo show.
a solo gig,
Yep.
and you showed up with another guy. So that's always pretty cool to have that happen too.
Yeah, we were going by those two wolves, because that old Indian, like, where Grandpa's like, I've got two wolves inside of me fighting constantly, and the grandson's like, well, which one wins? And he's like, the one I feed. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, duality. So,
Oh yeah, that totally makes a lot of sense. I actually kind of like that.
yeah. And
I've never heard that before.
then we picked up I think we picked up Jordan Reuter first, lead guitarist.
Yep. Where'd you end up finding him at?
He found us. I host a jam every Tuesday in Barnum, Iowa.
Nice.
And in comes this kid, just crazy-eyed and ready to play, and phenomenal. Great voice and everything else. And he walks into the coffee shop the next day, and he's like, I want to do what you guys are doing. And Caleb Ferry's like, what? And he's like, I want to play with you guys. It's like, all right, man, come on. So ever since then.
That's pretty cool. Just to have a guy show up and show you what he's all about. Did he just rip out some licks there, or did you just kind of feel him out after that? Or
he just kind of followed along. Like, I'm just a three chords and the truth kind of dude. So like, I'm not hard to follow, but he was just making everything I did sound incredible. I'm like, whoa, you got to come along.
And that's kind of the beauty of it, because sometimes that's just what it takes, is not necessarily somebody that'll shred it up and make it sound super complicated, but just add just enough spice to it to make it sound really
Yeah.
nice,
Exactly. And then like my bass player Brad Hofing, he's a sound dude. Like he's talking decibels and hertz and stuff. Like he's getting into
yeah.
it, and he's also one of those like I kind of like I'm here to make everything in the band sound better. He's like, I don't need to show off, and I'm like, yeah, because we're not a show off band at all. Like we
Yeah.
get rowdy, but we're not like classically trained by any means.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. I mean, some bands. There seems like there's a like technical guy in every band that does that kind of work that helps everybody out with their sound, or he's
For
like
sure.
he knows everything about the gear. Where it's like my something doesn't work, and he's like, I got another cable for that.
Yeah, otherwise it would be like, because we just fish out of water. I remember when I started, I had like a Fender Acoustonic. It was 2-channel, so I could plug in my guitar and my vocal, and that was what we played off of. Caleb
Yeah.
hit a suitcase drum kit, and that's how it went. And it was,
Yeah.
and the second like we met Brad, it's like, okay, well, this is the kind of equipment that you should be using for this and this, and now we've got more equipment than God, and
Yeah.
just feels like a longer night at the end.
Yeah, I mean, like the setup and teardown does kind of wear on somebody if you have the
Uh-huh.
extra gear, but sometimes it's totally worth it though, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like now, just recently we've got our own lights, so it's like we look like we know what we're doing up here, but now we have to set up and tear down lights. So
Yeah, I mean, lights add so much. Like, I'm in a punk band down in Des Moines, and
Oh, nice.
we added up some Amazon lights, just some like $10 lighting rigs.
Yep.
And you throw a couple of those together, and it's just like, well, this looks amazing now compared to what it used to look like.
For real, because now it's like, oh man, so people look where all the pretty shiny moving lights are. Who'd have
Exactly.
thought? We were
Exactly.
just shadows in the corner.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty funny. Like most places don't have much. I mean, much for lights, and that's nothing against venues, because
Yeah.
like, what are they gonna do? Like, set up a giant lighting rig for somebody to come in on
Exactly.
whatever day and play a jammy jam?
And when you're just struggling along, it's like you're playing every little bar there is, and it's
Yeah.
it's a rarity to have. They don't have to move the pool table so you can set up, but.
So, what kind of bars do you guys play in? I mean, you guys get a lot of work. You
Yeah.
specifically. I mean, even as a solo act of
just
sorts.
everywhere. We just got done. We were up in Sherburne, Minnesota on Saturday,
Oh, sweet.
and so basically like I started busking a little bit last Thanksgiving. I went down to Oklahoma, visit a buddy, and so I guess I could say I played in Oklahoma to Minnesota, and then just anywhere that'll have me in between.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. You do the jam every week here.
Every Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's starting to wear on my soul. It's been 2.5 years, but shout out to the Dillons because they made this all happen. They're my landlord and, my second family and everything. The bar owner, just great people all around.
Like, how did all that start out? Like, how did you end up with the gig as the guy kind of running a jam night?
I'm fighting my cat. You guys can't see it, but Goody Two Shoes is trying to rip my leg apart. Well, I was playing a gig in Gilmore City, and this dude comes rolling in on his motorcycle, and he's like, hey, I got a bar in Barnum. You should come check it out. And I was like, all right. So rode on down there, and next thing you know, he's like, yeah, come play. So I played and got to know the bartender pretty good, and the kid who manages it, Ashton Dillon.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, asshole. How you doing, buddy? And then, we just worked out an agreement where we're in my little scale house right now. And they were like, hey, if you want to run an open mic or jam, if people come, like, we'll have ribs. If there's music, awesome. If not, like, you got to play for 3 hours. And I'm like, okay.
That's pretty sweet, though.
Yeah, they give me this house, and all I got to do is play a Tuesday jam.
Well, that's not terrible. That's a
Yeah.
pretty good deal, actually, man.
That's like a folk musician's dream.
No kidding. So you've been doing this for like 2.5 years. What kind of songs do you like to play up there?
A little bit of everything. Like you have to learn just to, keep it fresh after 2.5 years. But I really just like writing a new song and testing it on them. It's like the perfect litmus. Just like,
Exactly.
okay, so what do you guys think? Because not to put any Busch Light drinkers down, but there's a lot of Busch Light drinkers up there. And,
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if I can win their hearts and get them to listen and dance and laugh, then
And you got the rest of Iowa for that, at least,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. Like they're perfect litmus test.
Oh, man. So what kind of music would you call what you play? It's folk.
Yeah. Brad likes to call it aggressive folk. I just like kind of outlaw folk. It's Americana. Just their stories. I want to be John Prine when I get old.
Yeah, I on the way over to the podcast here, I was actually listening to one of your guys' tunes on SoundCloud, and I'll put a link to your band's SoundCloud
sweet.
on the description here. But it was playing cribbage with my father and Jesus.
Jesus and Dad.
Jesus and Dad.
You bet.
That song was actually really good. You went through the majority of your family in the song and talked about how, what was it, your mom was going to be stealing knobs.
Oh, yeah, she was ruthless,
Playing cribbage with Jesus and Dad.
Yeah, I'm kind of an orphan, which is nice in the respect, like, you don't got to worry about who reads your name in the paper anymore, But,
Yeah.
but Mom and Dad passed away, grandparents are gone, but Christmas time rolled around, and I'm a dirty folk musician, so I just wrote a song because I couldn't buy them all presents.
That's a heck of a present, man. Like if I had the ability to do that, I'd be doing that every year for my family. Man. I mean, that's.
I did have
legit.
I had the honor. Like, my grandpa passed away this summer, and they approached me. They're like, "Would you play that there?" And I was like, "Whoa, all right, I'll try and get through that." And it was pretty badass because, like, my grandma, just tiny little old Selma, just sitting there, and that's all I had to look at, and I made it through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, that'd be tough to make it through without choking up. Playing that song for sure. So you got the Blue Ribbon Ramblers is the band name, and you've got a handful of other dudes in the band that actually play in other bands. We can give all those guys a shout out if you'd like.
Oh, sure. Yeah, my first brother from a different mother, Caleb Ferry. He's a drummer for Brutal Republic and the Ashburys, and I got a song for him too. It's called Caleb's Song, and it lists like the bands he was in, because he started out a punk. That's how we got along right away, because he's like, well, we have 90% of the same tattoos. Like, saw the the Crimson Skull and everything else. It's like, okay, we're gonna get along.
Yeah.
But so he was in the Dropouts and the Know-It-Alls, and man, he's a stud. He can drum for anybody.
A long list, man.
Yeah. And he's been doing it forever. He's young, but he's, already earned his chops.
I feel like drummers are kind of hard to come by, so the ones that are around kind of have to make themselves well used and well versed all at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even if you go down to the Des Moines area, it seems like there's a lot of bands that are seem to be looking for drummers, and I don't know why there's such a shortage of drummers, but
well, there's a lot of people who think they can. I've come to realize running this jam, because there's a in-house drum kit set up.
Yeah.
Ashton, asshole Dylan, likes to drum, so he leaves his drum kit up, and it never fails. Like, drunk people really think they can drum.
Oh man,
it's kind of fun, kind of comical, and then at the same time kind of ear-shattering.
Yeah, I've discussed it a couple times on the podcast, but if you're going to have me play anything like past AC/DC, I'm not going to do it. So like that's about all the better it's going to get, and don't hope for anything else.
Oh, if I can keep a beat, I'm happy. And it blows me away. I got some friends that are like, why can't you dance? Like, you're using both feet, strumming a guitar, singing, playing the harmonica, and you dancing is horrible. It's an entirely different game, like, that's why I can't drum either. It's just an entirely different game.
It is a different beast. Drumming is something completely different. What's up, Kat?
Oh yeah, that's Goody Two Shoes.
Yep. I don't know if it's picking up any of the audio from the podcast.
I hope so.
That's awesome.
She's like, let me out. I think she's pregnant.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or oh yes.
Or she's just like, I've seen her eat a rabbit, like an anaconda, just head first and go for it.
Oh, what's up? Now I got a buddy hanging out with me over here.
She's like, would you just open the door, let me out? I want to go out there and see if I can really get pregnant.
So who else we got in the band so far?
So Jordan Reuter, talented little kid. He hell of a singer-songwriter too. He's got his own band, 12th and Main.
Yep.
His buddy Cole, we call him Coal Miner. That's his drummer. And then let's see, I think that's the only band he's in, but he sits in with a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And then Brad Hofing, my bass player, he doesn't really have a side gig. He's dedicated. Yeah, he's that sound guy,
Yeah.
Like he's found his niche and he wants to stay there.
I'm getting whapped in the face by a tail.
That's awesome.
It makes me wish I was doing video for the podcast. This one would be awesome.
Brad was over here right before you showed up because I left all my gear in his van or in his Subaru.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I wonder if Goody's going to meow the whole time. And he goes, oh, yeah, you know it. So this is a scene.
It's what's going to happen, whether or not we like it, I guess.
Yeah.
So what got you started playing the guitar?
That's a pretty good story, too. My buddy Hippie, we were the Wright County Ramblers, and then he took off, so I had to do a show on my own. And, he was also the guy who got me started because long time ago, he needed like $100 to get back home, and I was living in Clear Lake, Iowa, and he was like, I need $100, man. I don't have enough gas. There's just no way. And I was like, well, I can't just give you $100. He's like, here, how about this guitar? I was like, I don't know how to play a guitar. He's like, yeah, but really? He's like, that's about it. And it was like one of those first acts, like $40 guitars.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, man, hate to see you on the side of the road because you'll just go for it anyway.
Yeah.
So had that guitar on the side, just hanging out in a room for a couple of years, and I was writing poems. And, you sit around long enough, you're going to figure something out. And then just put one of my poems behind it, and that just started it. It was like, okay, cool. I can kind of do this. Let's see if I can kind of do it a little better tomorrow.
So you started without any training at all, pretty much?
Nothing. I didn't even know, like, you were supposed to tune it every time. I'm like, oh, man, it sounded so good last time my friend played it, because they knew to tune it. And
oh, yeah. Holy cow.
It was like a year of just playing it and, like, hoping the E string was somewhat close.
I mean, I guess if you play everything on one string, it's not going to matter too much.
Yeah, and it totally started out just like burr, burr, burr. It was, I might as well been playing bass.
Everybody's got to start somewhere. I mean,
for sure. I started way late in life.
When did you start playing?
I've been playing in front of people for about 4 years, and before that, I think it was about 3 years of solid just sitting in the garage while still doing work. Like I had a tattoo parlor and worked in a factory and just all those things you got to do to get by in the world. And then that's a good story too. So
let's hear it.
I got home on my birthday. I was working at this tattoo parlor in Iowa Falls, and everything I owned was gone when I got home. I thought someone was going to throw me a surprise party, but everything I owned was gone. Turns out my wife left me on my birthday, so I was like, okay, I can deal with this. Not a big deal. Well, and then Dad passed away, and then I was like, okay, life still goes on. And then the divorce finalized, and then I opened a tattoo parlor, and then my mom passed away, and I was like, oh, man, what makes you happy? Because tomorrow is not guaranteed, and even if it does come, it's not going the way you want it to, so start doing what you want.
Yeah.
So I just shut the tattoo doors and moved to Mallard, Iowa, and just started looking around for gigs, trying to sell artwork at the studio in Spencer, and just going for it. One-man show.
Yeah. So you make like physical art too, like paintings and stuff like that?
Yep. A little bit of everything. I like pottery, but I don't have a wheel or a kiln. Then it's just one of those hobbies that you need the space for. And you listeners out there can't tell, but this is a converted scale house. They used to drive the wagons over my driveway and weigh them. So think of a scale house.
Yeah, I actually got to park right on top of the old scale. So it's a kind of a neat house though. I do dig it. It's super eclectic, for sure. And I'm super happy to be here. Like glad you invited me over.
Oh, of course, man. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna have to show you the bar after this because, like I say, Eric Dillon, my friend, he runs a custom hot rod and motorcycle shop over here.
Oh, sweet.
That's what all this huge thing is, and that's how it got the name the Junkyard, because the town's like, what are you gonna do with your junkyard? And he's like, oh man, that's my yard. Like that's where my projects are. He built some really cool shit, and but yeah, he designed the bar as well, so when you go in there you'll be like, oh, this totally has like a really eclectic vibe to it.
So you've only been playing guitar let's just say like about 7 years.
Yep.
Something like that
Basically.
And I've been playing guitar I guess if you want to count since I started, probably about like 15 years. And I always think it's kind of funny that it doesn't matter how much or how long somebody's playing, but if they play the guitar at least with some sort of like fervency or emotion,
Sure.
you can. I always feel like you can learn something from them. And I mean, our styles are pretty different. I play a lot of like blues, punk, and metal type stuff, and you're kind of like on the folk area. So like blues and folk aren't too far off.
Yeah.
But there's still like stuff that you play that I don't know exactly it's. I hear stuff sometimes and I can figure out how to play it. Some stuff I hear and I'm like, I don't know how to attack, even trying to figure out what's going on here.
Right on.
And I do dig some of like the folk guitar stuff because it doesn't stick to. It seems like it doesn't stick to traditional guitar so much.
Yeah, like you don't have to adhere to the 1-4-5 and all that.
Exactly. It doesn't seem like there's always. I mean, it's just like a regular G chord, a regular A chord, and a regular C chord. You know, it's people just throwing together regular chords. It's like, yeah, I guess it sounds okay, but it's.
Yeah, there's no room for flurry, but.
Exactly. I feel like your music has quite a bit of flavor, and I don't know if the fact that you weren't trained as a like you didn't go take lessons, you didn't go online and look up like, well, these are all the chords and I have to play these because these are the only right way to play the
exactly.
thing. I think that's probably one of the beauties to your playing style. Do you think yeah or no? Or
yeah, it's like I pride myself on what I lack in talent, make up for in emotion, and then as far as making a song my own, like that's kind of how I started playing too, and like songwriting, because I had no idea how to play the songs I wanted to play. Like I so badly wanted to play Red House, you know. But,
yep.
You know, just the staples of like, oh, I got a guitar, I can learn this at some point. And truth be told, I was just lazy about it. I found like 3 or 6 good chords and just like, okay, let's string these together to my own words, and it's got to sound right because I wrote it.
I mean, it's beautiful, man. I totally dig it. You play at jams here. Do you ever go to any other jams around and play?
Oh, yeah. My buddy Jeremy Ober, the lead for The Brain, the handsome devil in charge of Brutal Republic, my drummer's other band, he runs one over at Patty's Pub, and they rock over there. Like, they shred. There's talent. There's, like, this 14-year-old kid that just shows up and blows everyone's mind on the guitar. Like,
yeah. I've yet to make it to one of those. I'm going back to school right now at Iowa Central.
Oh, nice.
And Jeremy's got some loose ties to Iowa Central. I don't know if he went there, but he plays for their pit orchestra and things like that sometimes.
I think he offered some classes too, because strange world, like we're all a small commune now, you know, since we're all just, you know, like-minded individuals gravitate. And I think he was Jordan's instructor for like a semester.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so just small world.
Yeah, man, totally. I still go there and hear about him sometimes, and people like even refer to him as like the guitar Jesus.
Oh, he is,
because he looks like Jesus and he plays the guitar. So like I always thought that was kind of funny. I mean, shout out to Jeremy Ober.
For sure.
I mean, his name is not one that's lost on the local scene at all either. So
no, he's a very big fish in this pond.
Yeah, and I've yet to have a podcast with him, actually. I mean,
oh hell, well maybe. Oh, this isn't live. I was gonna say if he's listening right now, then yeah, come on over, Jeremy.
Yeah, I wish, but we'll get one in there for sure sometime.
Nice.
So you go to some other jams and stuff like that. Like, what are some of your favorite bars to play at around the area?
We've hit about everything. Like we've milked Central Iowa, you know.
Yeah.
just really hit that beat. But Byron's over in Pomeroy is a really fun spot. I play like their singer-songwriter nights, but have yet to have my own show out there yet, Byron. So anytime you want me, let me know. It's just one of those iconic spots.
I love going out. I went out there this last summer to see a band called Marbin, and they play like gypsy jazz, I guess you could call it. But they're from Chicago. I really dig the music. I went out there, and it was my first time being out there, I think, ever. Because you would remember something like that.
Oh, God, yeah.
And so I go out there, and I'm like, holy cow, this is just a little hole in the wall, but everything here is awesome. I mean, it was so cool because like there was a guy that showed up on a motorcycle, and the motorcycle had Alaska plates.
With the dog on the back.
And he had a dog.
Dog's name's Clyde.
There you go. And Clyde would never leave the block. I mean, it was like the craziest thing ever. I'd just sitting in my car, and this dog walks up, and I'm like, oh, sweet dog. You just pet this dog, and that's Clyde. And I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. Hey, Clyde, how's it going?
They take that community living like serious over there. Like they do Sundays music. Like people who want to listen, you can come sit down. Like it's for like serious listeners. They'll shush you if you're talking. He's like, we don't care what you picked up under your fridge last night. So.
So here's actually something to make it all full circle. I did see that Byron's was having a cribbage tournament coming up. I think that's I think it's on this weekend, and this podcast will come out on Thursday. So I think it's if you're listening to this, you might still have time to going out to Byron's. I think it's on Saturday.
I would take you. Oh, Saturday?
Yeah.
Bummer. I won't be able to make it. If it was a Sunday, I'd come over and play cribbage.
Oh man, I totally would too. It's been a while since I've played some cribbage. Me and a buddy of mine actually wanted to go to the state fair to play cribbage, and I couldn't make it happen. So he ended up going there, and he said he just got trounced by old people.
Yeah, they're like, I've got 80 years on you, kid.
Yeah, it was vicious. He said he just didn't win one and got skunked a couple times. And it's like, well, that's no bueno, dude.
Maybe try the euchre tournament next time.
No kidding.
Which I love euchre too. Lived in Michigan for a little while.
Oh, really?
But,
yeah, I never played euchre.
Oh, it's basically pitch or 500, but you can drink all you want during it and still just like easy enough to follow along.
Yeah, all right, it makes sense. So that's a big shout out to Byron. I love going out there. I definitely got to make another show out there. I mean, next time you're out there, let me know. I'll totally come out to that for sure.
Oh yeah, man, you bet. We all meet up and do some dumb stuff all the time. Shiny Top, we play there quite a bit in Fort Dodge.
Yeah.
And so there's a live music scene every Thursday there, and I just love how everyone's like supporting live music, giving us like the space to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's a lot of bands that are working around here. Like,
there are, and I feel like as long as your music's not offensive, you got a very good home to play your music in.
Yep,
around this area.
And you just got to pick and choose because I got a potty mouth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, generally speaking, like folk music's not doesn't hurt your ears to listen to, and I don't like to throw my own bands under the bus, but like metal and punk aren't everybody's favorite,
Yeah.
so you're probably not going to play a winery on a Saturday afternoon and play metal.
Exactly.
Like, you know, and it's an unfortunate event because then I don't get to have my bands come up here and play as much. But
what is the name of your band?
I'm in a punk band called Three Finger Betty.
Nice.
And then I'm in a metal band. I just joined one. They've been around for a while. Their name is Unity, and I don't know. They play around the Iowa area, and we just kind of. I joined the band last year, and we just kind of reformed all together. And
how many dudes?
There's 5 in Unity, and there's 4 in Three Finger Betty, and we got the same drummer in both bands. So
right on.
Yeah, that's Clint Blumker. So tip of the cap to Clint if he's listening to this one.
You got a fine name, sir.
Yeah, I love it. This is Clint Riedel. Got it right again. Yeah, dang right I did. Oh yeah. Like I was gonna say before, like if you wanted to use profanity, go for it. I label all these as explicit.
Fuck yes, the good because I've been on edge. Like, don't say shit.
No,
don't
say whatever you want. I label them all as explicit just in case, but it's totally not like it's not like a prerequisite to swear on this if you don't want to.
Well, good then. If you can hear this lighter, it is not marijuana.
There you go. It's a very good, delicious Camel cigarette. So you also play like Fort Dodge a lot, or did you ever get as far south as Des Moines much? Or
we tried Des Moines once. We played Lefties, and we were like the third of some really good bands. I still got the poster hanging on the wall because it was such a good time. But it was like
nice.
Matthew James and Rust Belt Union and Carrie Nation and the Speakeasy, and then there was us, and then some other cat who played just an acoustic set, but we didn't get paid. So I walk up at the end of the night, and I was like, hey, man. So we're here for our cut, and dude's like, which band are you again? And I was like, Blue Ribbon Ramblers. And it was just me and Caleb Ferry at the time. And I was like, fuck, dude, we killed it. Like, even the other bands were like, wow, good job, kids. Because we were just a 2-piece, and he's got a suitcase drum kit.
Yeah.
And, like, these guys are intense, like, rockabilly, like, lighting their bass on fire, the big stand-up and everything.
Geez,
like,
yeah.
Like, they were throwing a show, and Caleb and I were both like, holy cow, we fucking killed this.
Yeah.
And I get up to the owner, and I was like, hey, man, just coming for our cut. And he's like, there ain't no money, kid. It's like, I forgot about that. It's kind of a pay-to-play area down there.
Yeah. A lot of the places will do a bar cut, and the unfortunate part about that is if nobody comes in, you don't.
Yeah,
whether
exactly.
you split $14 between 5 bands, and they're just like, sorry. Like,
and we were bottom on the list. Well, we were second to bottom on the list, so I got it. But I was like, oh man, I'm used to just like getting myself out there and being like, $200, see you next Saturday. You
Yep.
know, carrying a calendar with me everywhere.
And I mean, that totally makes sense too, though, because there is something to say for valuing yourself properly to do what you're supposed to be doing. Because I mean, like, I do play a lot of the bar scene down there, and sometimes when there's a lot of people there, you get paid a lot.
Yep.
Sometimes when there's nobody there, you don't get paid much.
And a lot of it's like the exposure. Like, even if there aren't a lot of people there, there's going to be, you know, you're going to make at least 5 people happy.
Exactly.
And then they might tell the bar that they always go their local watering hole, and next thing you know,
Exactly.
like, that's how we were playing in Minnesota.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
That's
I opened up for this reggae band, Nug. Hey, Nug.
Well, that's
And,
awesome.
Yeah, really good people, and then like got to meet other really good people, and they know bar owners, and next thing you know, like, me and my whole band are up there playing shows where I was just opening.
Well, that's how you get it done, though, too, man. I mean, it does kind of suck to see that sometimes people end up playing places and not getting paid, but other times, like you said, they can have their silver linings. So
Yeah, for sure.
There's definitely benefits of that, because the other end of that would be the pay to play, which is you pay money to even be on the show at all.
Yep.
And those usually have mass exposure, and so you can go even farther with that, where like you're not getting paid, but you get some exposure. Well, this one you get a lot of exposure, but you have to pay us for it.
Yep.
And that seems to be a way that a lot of bigger shows are going in the state.
And at the same time, it's like I admire anyone who's doing it, because it's a tough go. Like, the worst part is lining up the gigs. You know, getting there is a blast. You know, playing is even more fun. The teardown kind of sucks, but other than that,
Yeah, I mean, driving home is really not that bad.
Yeah.
If you got something to listen to or someone to drive with,
NPR.
it's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
Put it on Blues Before Sunrise and just, you know, listen to it.
You can listen to the Audible Farm podcast.
Yeah, you can.
Sorry if I redlined on everybody there while I was doing that.
No, that was perfect, because I'm horrible at plugging everything. Like, you know, we get asked to be like, hey, we're giving. So we played over the Thanksgiving weekend. First time I've ever, like, it was a great idea, though. Tim Buck Brew in Clarion, Iowa. Thank you, guys.
Sweet.
They were like, hey, man, write what you're thankful for down in this box. Every hour, we're going to draw a name, read it, and then someone's winning a pumpkin pie. I was like, I've never given away pumpkin pies. So
That's pretty
yeah, it worked out slick. And then, like, to read somebody else's words, it was nice. It was like church, you know?
That is pretty sweet. That's one of the awesome sense of community you get with playing at the small town bars.
For real.
You get, like, you're not going to be able to get. I mean, it's nothing against bigger cities, but nobody's giving away pumpkin pies at bars in downtown Des Moines.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not that anybody would take a pie at a downtown bar in Des Moines. It's just the way that it would work, you know.
Yeah, it's like, I wonder what this is laced with: razor blades or roofies.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Either way, probably not going to be something worth it.
Yep.
But dude, that's pretty sweet though. I guess I never would have thought to do something like that at a bar, but you got to be the guy that read out all the thank you notes.
It was awesome. It was touching, because like I said, I had a bunch of invites for, like, Thanksgiving, but I didn't have really anywhere to go, so it was just like, all right, microwave dinner it is. Drive my bug around and call it a day.
Yep.
So that worked out well, because the day before, like, I already celebrated. It was just with a whole bunch of random people in a brewery.
Yeah. So did you play that show on Thanksgiving, or was that Thanksgiving Eve?
Thanksgiving Eve, and then Friday we played in my little hometown where I graduated from. Unfortunately, not a lot of people showed up, but the right people showed up. It was a good time.
Yeah. Where's that at?
Belmont, Iowa, right off of 69.
Yeah. I know abouts where that's at.
Right on. Yeah, it's God bless him, Eric, the owner. I used to sling a lot of drinks for him. I cooked and all that jazz, you know, all the fun stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, man, what do you think? And he's just nice enough to hire me. You know, he's like,
Uh-huh.
I really don't give two shits about music, but come on up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a place that usually has music play, or?
I think they make more money with their food, you know,
Yeah.
one of those spots.
So it's like a bar eatery, or?
Yeah, restaurant and lounge. But,
Yeah.
like, they still get down, you know, like every bar does around this time of year. But
Yeah. You ever, this is going to be, I don't know why I have this question. Do you ever try to play, like, any covers live? You guys do?
Oh, yeah, we,
like,
since we'll have to do a 4-hour show every now and then, and it's like,
yeah.
they do not want to hear 4 hours of my music, and, you know, so we've got to do a little bit of everything. We do, one of the funnest ones to do is 99 Problems and a Bitch Ain't One.
Yeah.
And then it's just fun to have that energy with the crowd after you get done playing Easy E's Give Me That Nut.
That's awesome. So
Mhm.
you bust some rap into it too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess if you want to think, it's all poetry, man.
it is, and
So
it works out really slick because you look over the crowd and you see them start like, holy shit, he's singing Easy E, Give Me That Nut right now, and then they know the words. They don't know that they know the words, but they've heard it.
yeah,
So.
that's funny. What other kind of songs do you play? Like, do you try to? I mean, like you traditionally play folk, but you play covers sometimes, and rap, I guess, probably is not what you play entirely for covers.
No, not the entire time, but
No.
we do have a couple of rap melodies. But no, I like playing John Prine and Bob Dylan,
Yep.
Johnny Cash. You know, all the ones that you think would fit our style, and then
Yep.
some that people have never heard of but might go out and look them up because I'm pretty adamant about telling people who wrote what song I sing after every time I sing it. So.
Yeah. I mean, you got to
So-
give the credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I don't want them thinking I wrote that beautiful piece like Shovels and Rope. We do some of them, and Langhorne Slim and The Law. There's just a bunch of these random bands that I don't think they'd be really familiar with, but I hope that those random bands don't mind us,
Are
plugging them and using them.
Are those local bands or are they?
They're just the indie bands.
Yeah.
Like Shovels and Rope is pretty freaking big now, but it's just like kind of like Byron's. If someone doesn't tell you about it, you probably aren't gonna hear about it.
Yeah.
Or if you don't listen to NPR, there's no way you're gonna come across this on the top 40.
Yeah. Exactly. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you play like a pretty big mishmash of stuff. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
What do you think your favorite place you've played at?
Ooh, let's see. Well, I could tell you the favorite show I ever had was Caleb and I when it was just the two of us because Jordan got all drunk the night before and could have swore that we were playing in Fort Dodge.
Okay.
We were in Mason City.
Okay, so you ended up at the wrong location.
Yvette. And
or he did.
yeah, well, he ended up not getting there in time at all. So I had to play the Soldier Creek Winery earlier in the day here in Fort Dodge. And then Caleb and I hopped in the car with his now fiance. Congratulations, Laura. They just got engaged. That was pretty cool.
Congratulations. That's
And
sweet.
then, just bought a house and everything. There's
Oh, dang.
fam damly in it.
Yep.
But so yeah, I got done playing there, and we all three rode up to Mason City, and we took the long way because we thought we had enough time and everything. And so like I'm driving up around my part of the world, Morris Lake, and everything, and it turned out to be a really good day. And then by the time we got up there, all our beer was free. There was about 500 people. We were in one of
jeez.
those little dome, like outside amphitheater things.
Yep.
And we were the second to last band. So
Oh,
the
wow.
crowd had already gathered, and it was Dan Tedesco. No. What's that guy's name? Dan Tedesco? Tedeschi? Something like that. Anyway, he was...
Was it the Tedeschi Trucks band?
Nope, the other guy. It must be Tedesco.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan Tedesco. He's a folk artist. He's on like Iowa Public Radio quite a bit, but he was the headliner for that night. So we followed a band that was pretty cool. They were like old-timey, kind of bluegrassy.
Yep.
They all dressed the part. It was pretty neat. But when we got up there, we just freaking annihilated it. It was so much fun. Like the
That's
energy of
awesome.
all those people looking at us, and like it was just starting to sprinkle a little bit, which is great because it was so hot. I was shirtless and sweating, and
Yeah.
it was a great feeling. And then the second we got done, like it started raining and like raining hard. So it was like, okay, we were the headliners, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
it's kind of a cool feeling because everything just dispersed after that. So it was like,
Yeah.
that was the memory for anyone that showed up that year.
That's actually pretty sweet, man.
Yeah.
That's one of those special moments. Did you know you were going to be playing in front of that many people?
No, we had no idea. We didn't even know where we were going, honestly. Like, we just like, we'll ask a gas station, they'll know. And sure enough, because it was a pretty big deal, there was a ton of people there.
That's pretty crazy. You just go to where all the people are at, and that's where you guys are at.
We come rolling in like a mess because, like I say, I had to play the winery first, so we got a little wine buzz on, and then, drink on the way up there because Laura's driving.
Yep.
God bless her. And man, next thing you know, it's a train wreck. Oh, and then the owner of the bar up there, Fion. I've played up in Mason and Clear Lake area quite a few times, a bunch of bars up there. But he was like, hey, not to throw you under the bus or anything here, man. Sorry. But he was like, hey, my wife's going to take the bar over. I still have the keys. let's go. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, let's go. It's still technically my bar, but she's going to take it. So we've got all that inventory in there. I'm like, oh, goodness.
Oh, dang.
So we ended up going in there and drinking our weight in scotch and wild turkey. And just because it was like a fine bourbon bar and everything, it was awesome. Like, it's the strangest thing, some of the people that like us, like these hardcore Republicans, like Ann Meyer just won state senate here.
Yeah.
And she just loved us. She would come to like every other show.
that's
Every time we
wild.
played, she would just be there. And I'm like, yeah, how you doing, Ann? And Caleb's like, she's a Republican. And I'm like, she's a pretty cool person. So that just goes to show, like, I am very, like, non-political.
Yeah.
And so...
That's a big part. You take all the politics out of it, and it's kind of crazy how you find out everybody's a pretty decent person, or at least a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm glad we're starting to get along again, because for a while there, like, you'd go to a show and you could watch people get tense,
Yeah.
Like, stuff's coming up. The world's about to change.
Yeah. I mean, Three Finger Betty, we got a song called Great Again, and it's about how Trump is going to make the world great again, but it's all about how, like, bombs are falling and blah, 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 and walls are being built and yada, yada, yada.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So it's kind of the opposite of being great, I guess, would be like the introspective of the song. But like I introduce it sometimes, like, did you vote for Trump? And some people cheer. It's like, did you not vote for Trump? And some people cheer. It's like, I really don't care. Here's a song.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, it doesn't matter one way or the other. We're all here to have a good time.
Yeah, and strangely enough, like, so Ann had been following us around all summer, and like she was really good with her campaign too. Honestly, like I saw signs everywhere, but her opponent like started coming around too, and at the winery, like they were both standing there, and I'm like, I wonder if that's awkward for them, like if they're like, this is, a battle, or, like this is competition,
Yeah.
but they seem to get along just fine. And then, like Caleb put on the opponent's shirt. I had Ann Meyer's shirt on, and we played the show, and it was like, I don't know, November 1st or something. It was really, really close to the election.
That's actually pretty awesome. You get the duality even on stage going.
Yeah, because people were like, oh, Ann Meyer, like you got your supporters and you got your haters, and, for both sides. So Caleb's like, because her opponent was there, and she's like, I've got a T-shirt. Caleb's like, I'll wear it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything to us. Like he's a pretty staunch Republican, likes guns. Hey, Caleb, I love you. But he's got a great dog too, Reno. Hello, Reno.
Sweet. I totally love other people's animals.
Yeah. Oh, goody two shoes. She tamed down for
Yep.
a while there. I thought she was gonna claw you, man. I felt bad. Like, oh no.
So God, there was another question. Rockin' Picnic. You ever played the Rockin' Picnic or been out there?
Oh, is that the Humboldt?
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've ever got my hat in the ring in time. So
That might be something for you to look at. It seems like something we talk about on just about every podcast, and I mean, because most of the people are from around the Humboldt area, and quite a handful, about half the people I've interviewed have been on.
I was gonna
the
say,
Rockin'
I think
Picnic one.
Jeremy's played it. Another brother of mine, Jeremy Ober, but and like Scott Kirkhart and those guys, like
Yep.
Highway 7 and.
Yep.
Yeah, it's when you play music around the area, you can't help but find each other. So
Exactly.
like all of us I was getting drunk at Scott's house the other night, and it was just like, hey, we're musicians. This is our hour,
Yeah.
So
I don't know, like if I know Scott Dahl is probably listening to this, and if he is, there's I'll throw Blue Ribbon Ramblers at you for something to maybe
hey.
throw in there for next year if you're looking for something off the cuff at the moment.
Oh, I'd love it.
I mean,
Yep, I really would.
it's a hell of a show. I mean, you do book a lot of shows, but this is usually like a Sunday afternoon type
Oh,
show,
those are perfect.
and it's on Labor Day weekend,
Cool.
so there's no Monday work for a lot of people. So I mean, like, you probably have you'll probably have a show booked anyways, because you're a busy guy. But
No, it's weird. It's hit or miss. It's all in how hard you want to hit it. Looking for these gigs.
Yeah.
So they're nice when they come to you.
yeah, it was a heck of a gig last year. I got asked to play, so I threw together a blues band for the show. We called it the Stockyard, Peter Stockdale Stockyard, whatever.
Very nice.
But Dan Blair played guitar, Nick Earhart played the bass for me,
Okay.
and Jeff Blummel played the drums for me.
Oh, nice.
So I had a nice little mishmash
You
of
bet.
people from around the area. It was a pretty cool time, and it was awesome because we had a little bit of downtime between a couple of the bands, and they even had like a Chris Carr even got back up there and played a little
sure.
bit of acoustic. So, I mean, it's just a heck of a good show. I mean,
God, that'd be fun. Yeah, if I'm not doing anything, I'm there.
yeah, if nothing else, it's totally worth checking out for sure.
Trying to break into A-Bait. Like, I don't want a big stage or anything. I just want to get into the A-Bait rally for free. You know,
Yeah.
that used to be in Humboldt and all
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
that used to be in Humboldt. That was a huge deal, but I was just a little too young to ever go to it when it was in Humboldt.
I'm too scared to.
Yeah,
you know,
I
I
mean-
heard all those gnarly stories. My family likes motorcycles. My aunt and uncle, Larry and Donna. Hey guys.
Yeah.
I don't think they've missed a rally in like 40 years, to be completely honest.
Oh,
They're
geez.
just crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even hear stories from some of my older friends where it's like, I went down there and mouthed off to a guy, and someone, came over and they were gonna get after it. No, somebody else had to jump in there and be like, hey, give him a free pass on this one.
Yeah, he's a local. He ain't bright.
Yeah, he didn't mean to say that to you. He didn't know who these people were. It's like, jeez.
Yeah, and who wants to be anywhere where you got to watch your tongue because I got a potty mouth.
Yeah, especially it's a giant party atmosphere and you got to watch your tongue. It's like,
God, yeah, and it's dark out. You don't know nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. So you play guitar. Have you ever played any other instruments? I know when you said you play live, you play what else?
The harmonica. I used to bang on a cajon and a tambourine. Now I just use a suitcase drum kit and a tambourine. And then used to have an egg shaker with a bandana around it on my toes because that.
Yep.
Yeah, and then God, let's see, a little bit of banjo. I'm not gonna say I play it a lot, but we did try amplifying it on our drunken band craft days. Like,
Nice.
hey, let's amplify this banjo, and then you can actually do something.
That's pretty sweet.
Haven't actually done something.
Yeah. So all the little percussive things around you, do you ever mic those up or?
Yep. Yep. We just started doing that really well. Brad, once again, guru of sound. Like he's come to figure out. He's got some mixer now, so he's recording like as we go. So we'll hopefully have a live from everywhere album here pretty soon. Just take the best takes and master all that.
So sweet.
And then just kind of throw, like hey, here's props to, this was at Iowa Falls 503, and this is,
I've been pushing for people to do that because even to get just a generic live recording isn't that hard.
Yep, exactly.
And that's kind of like how I got started doing this. A buddy of mine, Clint Blomker, the guy that plays drums in my bands, he like religiously records live everywhere he plays, and he just records his band, usually the other bands too. I was like, I'm going to do that, but I'll do the video for it. So I started to do that, and then we smashed them together, and we started making videos for Three Finger Betty.
Oh, hell, you want to make some Blue Ribbon Ramblers?
I mean, I'd totally come down and
that'd be
catch one of
awesome.
you guys' shows sometime.
We've been talking about that, too, because it's like, for just pure energy, so the live thing is our way to go anyway. Like, put us in a studio, and it's probably going to just die. But
I mean, the crazy part about this is if he's got two outputs on his mixer, he can just put them into this interface unit and record it all to a laptop from there.
Perfect. Yeah, because he's got this big old, I have no idea, like 23 channel freaking mixer thing that we went in and bought. He's got his own Dead Road Music Company.
Sweet.
He's going to do some recordings. Like Brutal Republic played the Pipeline Protest Party at Fort Dodge. So Brad set up sound and recorded some of those takes, and on 92.1, the local station here, they got the regional rock hour, and so one of Brad's takes is on there from that, and then some of our takes from the live recordings. So we're finally, like, this is the second time I've ever talked to anybody about my music, so this is kind of cool. Thank you.
You guys definitely deserve to get it out there because your music's freaking good, man.
Well, thank you.
We got to give a shout out to Mason for mentioning
for sure.
the regional rock hour.
You bet.
I see that guy at every area show I go to.
He's another one of those supporters. Like, he's out there doing the damn thing, trying to help others and himself, because he's in a band as well. And
I mean, that's one of the reasons I started doing this was because he did the regional rock hour. I said, that is like the coolest idea ever. I mean, in all honesty, I don't know what the legality rights for who owns what is, but they should like take that and throw that on a podcast to make that easily listenable.
I agree, because if you can't catch it, because like we played 3 songs. Like that's another cool story. The first time I ever talked to anybody about my music, standing there with Jordan and Brad, waiting on Caleb. He shows up and he looks like he just ran a marathon. He's like sweaty and red and shit. And it's like Jordan goes, "You all right, man?" And he's like, "I just fucking proposed to Laura." And I was like, "Whoa!" So we all erupted, and it's like, we got a minute and a half to get his gear set up and get up, but it didn't matter because it was so freaking cool.
That's wild.
But yeah, so this is really nice. I appreciate you guys supporting us like that.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, there's so many people around the area that do a very good job of supporting people, and I mean, like Bob Minter, he's come up a couple times.
Yeah, you bet. From Belmont.
Yep, and he does Code Zero Radio.
Yeah.
That's internet radio.
Yeah, he
So
recorded my first ever. I was like, Bob, I got a couple of songs. I heard you have a studio, and he's like, sure. So I went down in his basement and like, I was banging on a paint can that was inside of a PBR box because I didn't have a cajon at the time, but I had a drum
crazy.
pedal and then just my egg shaker. So he's like, okay, well, just mic your feet, and I've got this whatever mic right here. Just go for it. And it was like, one take.
Yeah, man.
Just hope for it and see what happens. But it was kind of a neat experience. Yeah, like you say, there's a bunch of people around. You don't see them.
Yeah, and I feel like we all got our fingers in a slightly different pie. Like Mason does radio,
Yep.
and Bob does internet radio, and I've got a podcast, and I feel like everybody kind of does what we do, and we all support each other and kind of steer clear of.
Yeah, and like Kurt Kaufman over at Junior's Motel, he's like true deal studio. Like that's my occupation. That's dedication into itself.
Exactly. I went over there when the Dark Mirror guys. There's a band in Des Moines. There's a metal band that the drummer Clint Blumker that my buddy played in, and they recorded an album out there. And so I actually got to spend some time out there. It was really cool to experience that too, to see how awesome that place actually was, or is, I guess.
Yeah, like that rock silo tower he's building out there. That's pretty cool.
I haven't seen it. I haven't been out there in a while.
It looks like he's making a castle. It's crazy.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I'll have to drive by there and check it out next time I'm driving kind of through that area. What, like, for folk music, you have like a whole bunch of different options to play. I guess those like odd percussive things. Like you get your little. You said you had like an egg shaker and all those other kind of things.
Yeah, like Mr. Zam around here, Mike Zam. He comes around and he's got a dancing cow. Like there's a percussive cow. It's just this like wooden toy, and its arms and legs just kind of dangle, and then he's got a plank. So he just makes the cow dance on this plank, and it's like.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and he plays the washboard with a tin cup on it, and like. So I'm meeting some really cool people out here.
That's wild. That's super cool.
And it's all because of that jam. Like they find me, which is awesome.
Even cooler, man. That is sweet. I saw something recently on the internet where a guy had taken a boot like you got there, and he took the heel off, hollowed it out, put a microphone on the inside and a 1/4-inch jack on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then all he'd have to do is just tap his heel, and it would make the heel tap sound.
Oh, I'm doing that.
Do it.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
I mean, it wouldn't take almost anything to do that. I mean, if you need help wiring one up, I'll do it for you. I mean, like,
honestly, yeah, man, I got a pair of boots right here. I'm not kidding. Like, let's get this done.
Oh man, but I've seen so many crazy things like because folk music's not something I play a whole lot of, but I've seen dudes tap on like a wooden block before.
Oh yeah, yep. Those things are coming around pretty big.
Yeah,
just those amplified.
Yeah,
because they've got their own tones. Like, I had one for a little while. It just didn't feel like, I don't want to say organic, but it didn't feel organic enough.
Makes sense.
Like there wasn't the delay of the pedal coming onto the drum and the actual it just didn't feel right. So I got rid of it right away. And the second I did, I was like, oh, that was so much easier than hauling this like cajon around and a pedal. And so, but yeah.
So what are some of the odder things you've used? Because you were talking about a paint can and a beer box.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so. Just honestly, like I think folk Americana in general is like you make do with what you got. You know, like that's like those old box guitars. I've been trying this cigar box guitar, but it's fretless and it's a slide. And but I got me a PBR neck, so I should. If nothing else, the slide is awesome, but my playing is not very good.
That's cool.
I got a banjo, but it's like I say, it's played, but it's not played.
Yeah. Well, I definitely would have to say that folk music was kind of that. Whatever you got laying around the house, use it. Because I mean, why else would you be playing with spoons and a washboard? You know, because it's just like that's just what they had. So.
Yeah, it's the working man's music.
Exactly. I totally dig that. What kind of draws you to that? Like, what drew you to it originally?
I'd probably say Bob Dylan. I always appreciated him, but I didn't listen to it. And then when I started, like, hey, it's okay to be sensitive, like be a sensitive biker, go out there and write poetry and,
Yeah.
Try and talk polite and be charming. And I realized he's been doing that whole time when I thought he was just, making something to listen to. And then you got a little, after that first exposure, you just start learning, like then discovering John Prine and stuff. It's like, oh God. Yeah, I want to be that troubadour, that walking around, letting the world know who I am for a minute and then getting somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's one of the, it's so weird to say this because it's become like an internet cliche to say this, but it's like the humble brag of the musician. Like we want to go out there and we want to stand in front of you and get like just a tiny bit of the limelight for just a little bit of your time, and then just kind of go away to the next place. And
because it's not like, even when we're on set breaks, it's not like walking around, look at me, but when you're on stage, it's like, I really hope you're looking at me because I have something I think of value. And and hopefully you don't get all those great venues like Byron's, but every now and then someone walks up to you and their favorite song of the whole night was, one you wrote 4 years ago, and you're like, well, okay, I thought you would have liked, because we'll do I Like Big Butts with the acoustics and, and that's a crowd pleaser. But it's really nice when, like, the 65-year-old man walks up and surprises you by enjoying your words.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you run the risk of doing that with like a cover band, of having people enjoy the covers so much that it overshadows the originals, and that's
it's like, you're not doing it right.
And I mean, I think that would be the blessing and the curse of doing the mixed cover and original band would be sometimes your songs would blend in with some of those songs and people wouldn't even know. They'd be like, oh, what was this song? You're like, oh, I wrote that one. And they're like, no,
totally,
But other times people would just be like, oh, these were all covers, and they would just think it and walk away, and that's kind of the curse of it all,
I've learned, like, early on not to make a set list because there's no point in it. If you try to tell 40 people what they should listen to at that particular moment, you're not going to make them all happy. You're not going to make half of them happy. So it's just kind of walk in, feel it out, and just know a whole lot of music.
Phone call.
It probably was telling me my health insurance is up. Joke's on them. I don't have any.
So you don't do a whole lot of stuff online. So you don't have Facebook.
No, my band runs the Facebook, and I guess they do a piss poor job of it. Way to go, band!
It's out there though. No, I just recently liked it. Your bassist got in contact with me, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, thank you for that, Brad. But no, I'm giving him a hard time. But everywhere we go, people do that. They're like, "Hey, man, you fucking need to do something with your Facebook." Like, I don't even know where you're at next week, and it's like, oh. Well, I'll tell them because I don't have internet. So
running that social media is almost like a full-time job. I actually just got a scholarship to run some social media for the college at Iowa Central that I'm going to.
Right on.
And so, like, even running that, I've found is it's kind of labor intensive because I run that one and I do the Audible Farm, and I'm helping run one for Three Finger Betty, and a couple other bands have inquired. About helping them run theirs, because it is kind of a daunting task. I also feel like once you kind of get the hang of it, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, you can get done in 5 minutes what would have taken me a day.
Yeah. And that just comes down to whoever's doing it, I guess, though, too. Yeah. So maybe that's the blessing of you not doing it, is you don't even have to worry about spending hours online.
Oh, it's a real thing. That, and I don't know if, like, people troll small-time musicians at all, but I'm sure we've got some detractors out there, You don't meet that many people and not piss someone off. So I'd hate to read those words, crush my little soul.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I was a couple podcasts in and had a couple people say a few things about the podcast on social media, and it was like, oh, god dang, dude, I'm only like 2 episodes into this. You're already mad about something. I don't know what you're mad about, but
I haven't even stretched, and if you don't like it, just fucking stop listening.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just, I'm just someone with a megaphone on the internet, just like everyone else. I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's like, well, I am a poor, miserable human being who has nothing else to do, so we're even.
Pretty much, yeah. I guess when I was younger, I was a lot that way though. I was super full of piss and vinegar on the internet, and I was just
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, I was. And now I'm so much calmer. I think it's because through most of my 20s, I was so high strung. It's just like, all right, let's
Stop sending hate mail to the
Yeah.
Jonas Brothers.
yeah, just gotta tone it down a little bit. But I did see you guys got a Facebook. I haven't dug too deep into your band's social media. I do know you also have a SoundCloud account that has some of your audio on it.
Yep, and then I think there's an Instagram that you can follow.
Oh, sweet.
And Caleb's totally in charge of that one. I think the boys, sometimes I'm even like a ghostwriter for the Facebook page. I'll send Brad a picture because I've got a track phone, but it does take pictures. So
Nice.
I'll take a picture of Goody Two Shoes or something who's hasn't meowed for a while. I'm wondering if everything's all right. But
Scared of me?
chances are you're a scary man. Scary man. But yeah, I'll send him like, hey, come check it out. Goody Two Shoes will be there with bells on, and just random things like that, and that'll make its way on there. But otherwise, it's all Brad and Jordan's wit.
That's actually some of the beauty of that stuff, because when I run out of ideas to post stuff, sometimes the teachers at Iowa Central will send me a message and be like, hey, put this online with this quote. And, they don't have the time to do it because they're teaching and they're correcting stuff. And it's like, well, heck, I'm just sitting in between classes. I'll do it. It takes me 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes that's nice to have that little line of communication to be, hey, you do this real quick for me. All right, sweet. And then they can just.
Like, how nice would a manager be? Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Like somebody that just says, okay, this is where you're going to be. This is what they're paying you. Get there by this time. Oh, okay, cool.
That's something a lot of people don't think about. Like, you got to be in a band. You got to find people you get along with. You got to play music that everybody likes. And then nobody's got a manager, so everybody's got to dole out responsibilities for the band. Because you said you got one guy's the sound guy, and someone else does the internet stuff, and you're one of the main songwriters. So everybody's got like a little bit of a different part of
jobs and families and responsible shit. So it's like, oh fuck, Caleb, can you make it? And he's like, I'm drumming with Brutal. It's like, okay, let's try this without. So we've played every combination known to Christ. Like, just Brad and I, just me and Jordan, just the three of us on strings, like last Saturday, and then just me and Caleb. But that's honestly one of the fun ones when it's just Caleb and I, because because I'm not a very good guitar player, and so like if I fuck up, I had some really good advice once, like nobody knows unless you tell them.
Yeah.
But so like if I fuck up with other people who are playing the right chords, I really look like I fucked up.
Yeah.
So like when it's just me and Caleb, if I'm screwing up, like it's just roll through it because it's drums and my guitar.
Yeah. I do feel like not having a rhythm section would be a lot of fun to play that way, but I also feel like it'd be very difficult because now your strings have to be the rhythms.
Yep, start feeling naked,
Yeah, man, totally.
But once I started out as just this one-man band, it was always the hardest thing I'm finding writing songs now is like I've got this phenomenal band, so like I need to leave space for Jordan to just noodle a little bit, or like a decent bass line or something. That's because before it was always just, if you got a dead spot, you're not going to wow them with your 3-chord strumming. And, so get through the lyrics, make them flow, and, it's just continuous. So they seemed pretty short for a while, like 2.5-minute songs. And then now I'm writing like 4-minute songs and beyond just because I got a band. That's awesome.
I mean, that's kind of cool to see how the music changes just by virtue of who's around you, because you need to give them a little bit of space to breathe as well.
Oh, for real. Yeah, and like this, they've affected the sound. Like we wouldn't sound like this without Brad around, and certainly wouldn't sound like this without Caleb as our drummer, because there's some phenomenal drummers around, but Caleb's got his own,
Yeah, totally. I got to get out to one of your guys' shows sometime.
Please do.
I'm super stoked about this.
Oh, we'll be playing the Ugly Sweater Sneakers December 22nd. I think that's our next close one.
Sweet. What other shows you got coming up? Like I said, this is coming out Thursday, so
let's see.
Pretty much anything in December.
Oh, strangely enough, my birthday is this Sunday. I'll be turning 41, and the owner, Neil, of Brass Monkey and Fireside, used to be Buck's Fireside there in Fort Dodge. Well, he's turning 41 on my birthday. And last year, we were both turning 40, and I played his birthday party, and that's how we found out. I was like, you're serious right now? Is your birthday? He's like, yeah. I'm like, me too, man. That's
gnarly.
Supposed to happen. And then it turns out He plays a little guitar. I think he's like Australian or something.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, he's got that nice like island strum to him and soft voice, but he's this big man. It's awesome.
That's sweet. That's cool.
So I'm going to play down there at the Fireside on the 7th. I'm going to take this weekend off and just enjoy turning old. And let's see, then we were going to be up in Fairmont, but that kind of fell through, so I'm going to be at Fuel and Clarion on the 21st. And
Sweet.
every Tuesday, come on over to Barnum. You never know who's going to show up. It's one of those we keep going until we can't.
Yeah, I was totally looking forward to coming out to the Tuesday jam you guys had, and I got bogged down with a little bit of homework, and
Happens.
I'm trying my best to balance everything and do it all the right way this time. 'Cause, dude, I went to college once when I was out of high school and just totally messed it up. So.
Oh, you and me too. Well,
Yeah.
I waited till I was like 23, but I still just fucked it up.
Yeah, no, this is coming out of my pocket, so I'm not gonna mess this up.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna mess this up this time. So
Good on you.
So either way, anything else you want to plug before we take off? Mention any other bands? Anything else really?
No, just man, there's a whole lot of friends and family out there that really, really pushed me to do this, and I thank them for it. And I'm not swinging a hammer again the rest of my life. I'm gonna just walk off to the world and die when the time comes, because I imagine once the music's done, everything else is too.
Yeah, totally, man. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and
I
everybody
appreciate
else.
it. It's great to meet you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, what'd you think of that one? That was a real good podcast. Loved sitting down talking with Clint. He's a real nice guy. Man, I got to make it to one of his shows sometime. I think you guys should too. You should definitely check them out online. I got some of their stuff in the descriptions down below. You can click on their Facebook link, listen to some of their stuff on SoundCloud. Definitely try and make it out to one of their shows. I got to make it to one of those jam nights. I've yet to make it to any jam nights anyhow. But I definitely need to make it to one of those. Just got to involve myself a little bit more in the music community. I mean, not that a podcast is not involvement, but man, I just love getting out there and playing music. That's first and foremost, even above the podcast. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Let me know what you thought of the podcast. Drop a comment somewhere, YouTube, whether or not you're listening on SoundCloud, or shoot us a line on Twitter at Audible Farm. We're also on Facebook as Audible Farm. We're on Instagram as Audible Farm as well. So just follow us on any of those social media platforms if you'd like, and give us some contact. Let us know what you thought of the podcast. If anybody has been listening to all the podcasts, you've maybe noticed there's a little bit of a mixing issue with a couple of them. I'm going to go back and try and fix them. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what the best way to go about mixing a couple of the podcasts are, because some of the audio levels weren't as good as I was hoping they were going to be. But that's neither here nor there. I just want to say thanks again for everybody tuning into this one. We've got some pretty awesome numbers coming in lately. I've had at least one podcast listen every day for the last month, so that's pretty awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for that. Thanks to everybody in the state and out of the state that's tuning in. I've got a couple people from out of the country that are tuning in every week. I appreciate that very much. Thank you to everybody in Canada and Ireland for tuning in. Much appreciated. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I'm enjoying it. I'm having a blast. So everybody in Iowa and the surrounding states and the surrounding countries, I guess, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Thanks a lot.